Hello, my dear students. I wanted to make a quick little video to introduce myself and to give you an overview of your course shell. So my name is Dr. Kat. I've been a full-time instructor with CNM for almost 30 years, so very long time. I've been certified to teach online for over 16 years, I believe now. And I was the first instructor at CNM to teach anatomy and physiology online. So I've been doing this for a long time. This is nothing new for me. This is not a pandemic driven class for me. This is a class I already had many years before we hit the pandemic. So I'm very comfortable with technology. I'm very comfortable with teaching online. I also take pride in keeping my online courses, even my face-to-face courses, really very consistent so that you get into a routine and rather straightforward. And I hope you will agree with that once you get used to navigating through my course shell. So let's go ahead and take a look at the course shell. And give me just a moment. It always takes a second for it to kick in. So here we are. Let me move a few windows around, bear with me. There we go, much better. So this is, a course shell for Anatomy and Physiology 1, and you may be in Anatomy Physiology 2, but my two courses, AMP1 or AMP2, are set up very similarly. So it doesn't really matter that you're looking at an AMP1 shell, despite the fact that you are in an AMP2 class, right? So you can always tell what section you're in up here, or you can just look at the title I created here in this banner. And by the way, I'm a dancer. I do all kinds of dancing, which is why many of my banner images will refer to dancing. As it says here, the first thing you should do is go to your syllabus module. We'll do that in just a second. As you know here, where I list my office hours, pay close attention to when they are, I should say, but also how you can contact me. So you can use Pronto to text me during the week. I will not be available during the evenings of the week or on weekends, but you can text me via Pronto outside of office hours. That's fine. During office hours, you can call me at this number, or if you really want to see my face and video chat, just ask. So send me a text, send me an email, and just ask. We can also set up an appointment to video chat if you'd like. If you want to talk to me but not reveal your phone number, then again, send me a text, send me an email and say, oh, Dr. Kat, I would like to just talk to you. Then we can do audio chat in Pronto. So Pronto is kind of like FaceTime in that you can do both audio chat and video chat, plus you can also text with it. For those of you familiar with FaceTime. Okay, so let's follow the instructions, which I'm going to encourage you to do in this class. Anatomy and physiology, as you know, is pretty intense. You've heard it through the grapevine, particularly if you're an AMP2, you know from AMP1 how intense it gets. So it's really important for you to go through things in order the way I suggest them. So don't jump around. No matter what you think is best for you, it probably isn't. I hate to tell you, it's best for you to go in the order that I suggest. I've done this for a very long time. I've been teaching for almost 40 years at the college level. So I've tried to set up this course to where it's very logical, not always possible to make it super logical, but I do my best. So let's do what it says here and go to coursework, click on content, and here we see our overview and syllabus module. And of course, you've already made it that far because otherwise you wouldn't have found this video. So all of these documents, maybe not so much the Latin endings, but still are really critical documents. In the syllabus, make sure you become very familiar with how you're graded. I'm not going to click on this because my syllabus varies a bit from term to term. So this term, this syllabus might be a little bit different from this summer, for instance. Your monthly calendar gives you an overview of all your deadlines. And then your deadlines flyer is something you really should hang up in your bathroom. Take a picture of it, keep it in your wallet, on your phone. This should be in your face all the time. You do not want to miss any deadlines. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to click on it. This is my flyer for the fall term of 2021. You know, depending on what term you're watching this might vary a little bit, this flyer, but you'll see your weeks here, what block we're in, and the various dates, obviously. But one of the things I wanted to point out is that right before an exam, let's pick exam 2, you will always have a clump of quizzes due. So quizzes are usually due in clumps right before an exam. So for some quizzes, you have weeks to complete them. The biggest mistake that unsuccessful students do in this class is to wait till the night before the exam to complete quizzes. Think of the quizzes as mini exams. They're not quick and dirty and easy. There are 20 questions, sometimes not that easy of questions. And you want to take these quizzes 3 times. And I'll explain to you why that is in just a moment. All right. Assignments are not always going to be due just right before an exam, but they're going to be due at a very consistent day as well. So for instance, in the fall term, pretty much everything is due on a Sunday night. Your exams will be due on Monday and Tuesday, except for the final, which is always a bit unusual. But this varies in the summer, obviously. But I keep the deadlines very consistent in the summer as well. Okay, so hang that up everywhere. In a 200 level course like anatomy and physiology, it's really pretty important for you to follow all the rules for online exams. You know by now that you are monitored via video and microphone. And so we have to make sure that you have good ethical standards before you go into the nursing program or respiratory program or pharmacy program. I mean, all of you are going to be dealing with patients. Regardless of what health program you go into, you have a lot of responsibility. You have people's lives in your hands, their health in your hands. So it's very important for you to have good ethical standards. And that is one reason for why you're videotaped. We don't want you to cheat. We want you to know your stuff when you take your exams. And it's also to ensure that your courses will transfer to other institutions, particularly outside of state. For those of you who are in the military or who have a spouse that's dragging you around all over the world because of his or her job, you want a course that is going to be transferred, right? So that's one of the other reasons for why we monitor you. The Latin endings are going to come in very handy because anatomy and physiology is, all the terminology is based on Latin or Greek, especially Latin. You have already gotten a feel for that in biology. For instance, the singular version for nucleus is nucleus, but the plural version is nuclei. So if a word ends in US and it becomes plural, it becomes an I at the end. For bacteria, it's different. So the singular version is bacterium, plural is bacteria. And if you know some of these endings, then you can better understand now, why are they saying bacterium and next they're saying bacteria? Or why are they using nucleolus and now they're saying nucleoli? Are they different things? Is this a typo? No, right? So there's a plural and a singular version. So I created a little document for you to help you out with that. Throughout my course shell, you'll see an image of your textbook. Your textbook is free. I believe in Very affordable education for my students. I think you guys have to pay way too much for education. So I try to keep the book very affordable, as in free, unless you want to purchase a hard copy, or you want to download, well, I guess to use it through iBooks, for instance, it costs just a few dollars. But anytime you see this image, you can click on it and it'll actually take you to your book online. You can download this book as a PDF and keep it on your device and print it off as you wish. Now, what I really wanted to show you is the full layout of the course. So you have these modules, and some of these will always show. So your syllabus and overview module will always show your block 0, which has all the information, or I should say, which has all the things you should do on the first day of the term listed in it. And then how to study. I created a direct link to your discussions. There's a practice module, and eventually it's still hidden. I will also release the exam hints and feedback module. So yes, I release all kinds of hints before your exam. If you pay attention, I give away a lot of questions. So that's what I do there. Now, I call your modules, all your modules that contain all your course materials and your things to do, where your quizzes are and your exams are, I call them blocks. I've been doing that for years. It goes back historically. I don't want to go into why, but notice that I have, aside from block 0, which applies to the first term of the semester, I have 5 blocks, and each one of them corresponds to an exam period. So block 1 has everything in it that applies to block 1, to exam 1, I should say. So not only does it have the exam in it for exam 1, but it has all the quizzes that are due before the exam, assignments, if I give assignments, as well as all your course materials, okay? So there are 5, because your 5th one is your final exam, and I give 4 semester exams. So 4 semester exams plus a final makes 5 blocks. Okay, so as it'll tell you when you have gone through all of this, blah, 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 I'll tell you now you should go to block 0. So let's do that. Actually, I suggest that you stay away from clicking on course schedule and table of contents the first week, because it'll show you way too much information, all right, you know, list, and it'll become very confusing to you for what is due when. So stick to your block. So we're going to go to block 0, which you need to work on the very first day. And aside from your task list here, you see your play exam. The play exam, you've done this for other classes more than likely, is just a little quiz really to make sure that all of your equipment works and lockdown works, which is the software that we use to monitor you during an exam. You should always do this before an exam, but to make sure that you do it at all, I will make it due usually in the first week of the term. And then you can play it over and over and over again. It's not for credit, but if you don't do this, it'll prevent you from opening other things in the course, if that makes sense. So I set it to where it prevents you from seeing or trying other quizzes or exams. There's an other quiz that you'll have to take in block 0. Notice that it doesn't show. And the reason for this is because I haven't finished all these tasks, and I certainly haven't completed my play exam yet. So I need to see at least one attempt for the play exam before you can see anything quiz-like or exam-like in any of the future blocks. Okay, so let's click on task list for day 1. You can click here or there, same thing. And then it'll say to click on this document. You are most likely already familiar with this because I emailed this to you. This is going to now open up in my Google Drive, and it lists all the tasks I need you to go through. Some of these you have already done if you have taken a course at CNM last summer or maybe even last spring. Oops, I didn't mean to show that. Let's close that. And let's stay here. So read through this, do your tasks, and as you go through your tasks, check them off over here. So now, as you go through this and you need to check these off, notice that you have to meet a deadline for the play exam. And you need to complete quiz 0 as well. All right. So make sure you do this. And all of these boxes need to be checked off. It'll tell you that when you have done that, you're ready to move on to block 1. So let's do that. So I'm going to click on block 1. Block 1 has your to-dos for weeks 1 and 2. All right. So every week I provide you with a list of the things to do. I list your deadlines to meet, and I tell you which learning objectives to complete, which slides and handouts to study with, and which videos to watch. And all of these blue things are linked. So you click on this and it takes you to the playlists of all my lecture videos. I have made more than 90% of my own lecture videos on YouTube. A few I have not made because it was a rather small topic, and I found a video that somebody else did, and they did a better job than I could do sometimes. But other than that, yes, most other videos are mine, and especially in AMP2, they're pretty much all mine. And the way I lecture on those videos is very much how I lecture in a face-to-face course. So therefore, I need to bring this to your attention as well. And that is that when you study for this class, it is very important for you to study with my lecture videos. So that is where I have a how do I study for AMP module here as well. So keep that thought in mind. Let's kind of finish scrolling through the block. Notice I was being a bad student. And I opened the block and I jumped right away to the bottom of the page. I really need for you to read the description of each block when you open it the first time, so you know what you're in for. So it'll first tell you what you're going to study in this block. There's a link to your book here. Your learning outcomes, these are state mandated. And then what you can expect to find in this block when it comes to quizzes and things like that. So just wanted to make sure that you do that. So it lists your weekly to-dos here. It asks you, are you looking for your bonus practice quizzes? You need to go to your practice module for that. So when we go back to the modules, notice that there is a practice module. And what are your bonus practice quizzes? I'll get to that in just a second. Here's your play exam again. Do you have to do it again? Well, I suggest you always do your play exam before you start a real exam. So I make it available to you all year round. But in order for you to have access to other quizzes and exams, you must have your first attempt in by the deadline. And you see your deadline listed here. It'll vary in the summer and in the spring, of course. So why am I not seeing all the other quizzes and assignments and exam? Where's exam 1? After all, we're in block 1. Well, I have not really completed the play exam and quiz 0 in block 0. I'm just being a demo student right now and showing you around. And now you realize, or you witness, that if you don't complete block 0 completely, that's redundant, but I just set that, you're not going to see what you need to see here. You're not going to be able to work on quizzes. You can start with your course materials, but remember, as I showed you earlier, you're going to have multiple quizzes due right before an exam. So let's talk a little bit about your quizzes. So you might have 3 quizzes due right before an exam. And as I mentioned earlier, think of your quizzes as little mini exams. They're not quick and dirty quizzes that you finish in 5 minutes like you might have done an intro biology lab. All right, these are going to take some time to complete. And I give you 3 attempts. The highest score counts. That's what gets recorded in the grade book. When you complete all 3 attempts, then that same quiz will open up in your practice module. So let's take a look at the practice module. And I have all kinds of websites with textbook quizzes and SCORMs, which are interactivities listed here. But notice no practice quizzes. Where are they? And when you read the description, it'll go on and on about your bonus practice quiz as well. You must complete 3 attempts of the actual quiz before you are given access to your bonus practice quizzes. All right, so keep that in mind. And then you'll have 3 more attempts for these bonus practice quizzes. So you have your actual quizzes, and each time you take a new attempt, you get a new set of questions. So I have huge pools of questions. When you have completed all 3 attempts of those quizzes, then your practice quizzes open up, and you might come across some of the same questions, more than likely, because after all, this is the 4th time, maybe 5th, 6th time that you take the same quiz pool, I should say, right? You really need to take advantage of these bonus practice quizzes, not just to practice, but to get your bonus points in. You might think they're worth hardly anything. Well, the total amount of points in this class is not that high. So the value I set for your practice quizzes, if you take enough of them, add up to quite a bit at the end of the semester. So if you neglect that, and then wonder, why am I not getting another bonus assignment at the end of the term? Well, I gave it to you throughout the term. This brings up another point. I do at times give you a little bonus something. As a matter of fact, in block 1, there will be a bonus assignment, assuming you've completed everything in block 0. I do not list your bonus assignments or quizzes, whatever you want to call them, anywhere but in announcements. So this is to encourage you to read your announcements. So bonus practice quizzes are a different story. They're always going to be in your practice modules, and they'll pop up if you complete 3 attempts of your actual quizzes. But other bonus things, I only announce in announcements. So to encourage you to thoroughly read my announcements. I care about all of you. I want you to do well, and I provide you with very informative announcements. Please read them, because I want you to succeed. You do not want to have to repeat this class for not reading instructions and announcements, things like that. Okay, so that's the practice module. So I'm going to go backwards here and click on discussions. So to make it easier to get the discussions, I just created a module. You can also get to them via coursework, as I'll show you. There they are. If you really want to see who exactly is part of your group for your group discussions, just click on groups here and you'll see the people's names. I can't do that because I'm just a demo student right now. Okay. All right. So again, always read the description. And now you see that I have created a forum that's titled Collaborate, Help Each Other Out. I'm very much in favor of a discussion forum where you all dare to trust and depend on one another. These discussions are not graded, but this is where you find each other for help. And that help can be with, I don't understand something in the lecture video, or can you help me with a learning objective or an AP1, a worksheet question? Perhaps you need some help with how to study. This is where you come to get help. All right, so maybe not so much the first topic where you just say hello to one another and introduce yourself. This is where I have left a little blurb about myself as well. But then the second one is where you need to take advantage of being a team player, being part of a team. And I've given you all kinds of examples of how you can prove to me, that you're interested in the course and that you are willing to be a team player. And why is that so important? Why is that so important to me, that you are a good team player, or that you're willing to share, or that you're willing to ask for help, or that you're willing to answer one of your group mates' questions? It is important for me because if you ever ask me for a letter of recommendation, guess what one of the important things is that I have to address? Is this student a good team player? It's one of the most common questions we have to answer as faculty for recommendations. So keep that in mind. This is also where I see how y'all are thinking. You know, I can't see you. I can't see you in class and have where you make a frown, or you're like rolling your eyes, or you're zoning out, or or you raise your hand and you physically ask a question. I can't do that. So I don't have that feedback, those facial expressions, or the grunts or the moans. I don't have any of that. So I need for you to take the initiative to use this discussion board to help each other. You can post questions here for me directly, particularly if it's something that you want your whole group to see. My dog is sitting on my desk, so I'm looking over here. If it's a personal question or a question related to grades, you really need to email me in private, right? I am alerted when you post a question or you post an answer, but I'm typically not going to mind your business in this discussion board unless I see that you're going down the wrong path. Unless I feel like, wow, these students really need some positive encouragement, or they need some kudos or things like that. So anyway, I don't want to keep going on and on. You can read more about it. As you can see, it's pretty lengthy here. What I give you as examples on what you can do on that discussion board. By the way, you can also set up groups on Pronto to have a study group, or use FaceTime, use Google Chat, whatever, Zoom. It's perfectly fine for you to communicate outside of class. You would do that in the face-to-face class as well, and I highly encourage you to do that. So that is another reason for why I don't grade these discussions. You have plenty of other things to do, but I really would like to see some evidence of you all collaborating. If you built your own group, let me know, so I know that you are working together outside of the course shell. Okay. Final module to discuss, and that is, how do I study for AMP? This is the most common question asked. I don't get as many questions about anatomy and physiology topics that we're covering. I get the question all the time, how do I study? Well, I answer your question here with lots of links. I will continue to add more guidance in my announcements. Eventually down here, I will release the module that is called exam hints and feedback. So before each exam, I release all kinds of hints. And by hints, I mean hints that help you with answering questions. So I might give you questions. I might talk about questions and their answers. So that's different from study tips. All right. So over here in the how do I study for A&P, which is what we're looking at now, I guide you on what techniques you should use to study for this class. And you might have been able to get by in, if this is A&P 1, let's say, that we're talking about, you might have gotten by in intro biology and chemistry, intro chemistry, with sort of winging it. Unfortunately, that doesn't work in A&P because of the vast amount of information, and in about a month into the term, it gets very intense where you have to do a lot of critical thinking, and it requires daily studying and lots of recall. And by recall, I mean that you should be able to wander around in your house and, you know, give a full lecture basically, or sections of lectures, and blabber on about whatever you just studied, or tell your boyfriend or wife or mom about these wonderful things you're learning and go into quite a bit of depth. All right, you should be able to do that. That's what we call recall. The more you talk aloud about what you're studying, the better you will digest the material, retain the material, and then be able to spit it out on an exam. So some suggestions there already. Okay, I think that's about it. You can also communicate with each other via UJA, by the way. Here's Pronto, and I guide you on how to set that up. This is where you access your grades and your class progress. And then we're not going to use ePortfolio, so you can ignore that. For CNM resources, you may need to depend on general CNM student resources, and especially online student resources. So realize that this is all available here as well. If you need tech help, this is where you go. If you need help with Brightspace itself, there's something called EmbaNet that provides support around the clock. So anytime you have a technology question, you guys, one more time, go to Need Tech Help. When I sign off on an email, you'll see that same information, a phone number and an email address. Any technology question, or Google it. Everything is on Google, you guys. So if you don't know how to make a PDF file, if you don't need to know how to combine different pages into one PDF, or how to download something, convert some, it's all on Google. And if that still doesn't work, go to the tech help desk. I can help you with a lot of technology, but that's not really my job. And I would prefer to address different questions from you, as in, how does this work in the body? Why does this ion get released here and not there? Things like that. So I've talked more than long enough. I hope that this was somewhat informative, and especially the first few days of the term, if any questions arise that relate to how you're graded, anything in the syllabus, policies, requirements, do's and don'ts, please contact me. You have to know, you have to understand how you're graded. Please don't wait until the last few weeks of the term and ask me, how am I scored on in this class, or am I passing? It should be very simple for you to calculate your grade, because you just add up all your scores and then drop the scores that you're allowed to drop, as I indicate in your syllabus. All right. Okay. I'm hungry. I hope you will enjoy my class. I hope that I will get to meet some of you, if not all of you, via video chat here and there. And again, do not hesitate to ask questions during work hours and during the week. I'm not very available on the evenings, or in the evenings and on weekends. I have all kinds of other things going on in my life. When you text me, let's say outside of office hours, and I don't reply right away, I do have a lot of meetings, but I will get back with you. All right, so don't get discouraged. During office hours, I'm all yours. All right, during office hours, you can expect that I will reply. Okay, you guys, have a good day, and I hope to see you. Bye.